It all started when I inherited an old house from a distant relative. A place I didn't even know existed. Nestled deep in the woods, the house had an air of mystery, its creaky floorboards and dust-covered furniture whispering stories of forgotten time. While clearing out the attic one stormy afternoon, I stumbled upon a small leather-bound journal hidden beneath a loose floorboard. Its cover was worn, the edges frayed, and the faint scent of aged paper filled the air as I opened it. Inside, I found entries written in a familiar handwriting, my own. But I had never written them. The first entry described events from my childhood, things no one else could have known. It detailed my secret hiding spots, the friends I used to play with, and even the arguments I had with my parents. At first, I thought it was some elaborate prank. But as I flipped through the pages, my heart sank. The journal didn't just recount my past, it was also writing about my future. And that's when I read it. An entry dated 2 weeks from now, Ethan's life will end at the hands of someone he trusts. The first prediction came true the next day. The journal described how a vase on the kitchen counter would shatter, and sure enough it happened. At the exact time the journal said it would. I dismissed it as coincidence, but the next event was even harder to ignore. A phone call, just as the journal predicted. It rang precisely at 8:42 p.m. When I answered, a distorted voice whispered, "Have you figured it out yet, Ethan?" My blood ran cold. When I demanded to know who it was, the line went dead. A moment later, a text appeared on my phone. "The journal isn't just about you." Desperate for answers, I flipped further into the journal. One entry mentioned a date from my childhood, July 15th, 2003. It described a picnic by an old oak tree, a swing, and a girl named Lila. Leela had been my neighbor when I was a child. She vanished when we were 10. I returned to the woods near the house and found the tree described in the journal. Its swing was gone, but etched into the bark were 2 initials, EL. My hands trembled. This wasn't just about me, it was about Lila too. But why? The journal's entries grew darker. Shadows in the corners of my home seemed to move, and whispers echoed through the halls at night. One evening, as I brushed my teeth, my reflection in the mirror didn't move with me. It stared back, its expression slowly twisting into a sinister grin. Then it spoke in a voice that wasn't mine.
"You're running out of time."
The journal guided me to a hidden door in the basement. Inside, I found an old metal box. It contained a cassette tape and a letter addressed to me. The letter read, "Ethan, the truth is on this tape, but be warned. Once you know, you can never go back." On the tape, I heard my younger self, terrified and pleading,
"I didn't mean to leave her. She told me to run."
Run from what? The next morning, an elderly woman knocked on my door. She stared at me with piercing eyes.
"You've found it, haven't you?"
When I nodded, she said,
"Leave this house. It's not Lila who's trapped, it's you."
Before I could ask her what she meant, she vanished into the mist. One night, I blacked out while reading the journal and found myself standing in a familiar clearing in the woods. Lila was there, her eyes hollow. She pointed behind me. I turned and saw a grotesque version of myself holding the journal. It growled,
"You let her go, Ethan. Now it's your turn."
I woke up back in the house, the journal on the table. The newest entry read, "It wasn't your fault." But the next words chilled me to the core. "To end this, you must destroy the tree." I returned to the woods and found the ancient oak tree. Beneath it was a pile of children's belongings. The journal began to burn in my hands, its pages glowing with eerie light. With trembling hands, I set the tree ablaze. As it burned, screams filled the air. Not just Lila's, but countless others. Then, in the flames, I saw her. Lila smiling, her face at peace.
"You set me free,"
she whispered before vanishing. The next morning, the journal was gone, and for the first time in years, the house felt quiet. The journal is gone, but the memories remain. I don't know why it chose me, or why Lila couldn't move on without my help. The journal is gone, the tree reduced to ashes, and the voices have fallen silent. But as I stand here, staring at the charred bark, a chilling thought lingers. What if the journal wasn't just a warning? What if it was only the beginning?